All right. Hey, Ernie, how are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you, Jeff. How's it going?
I'm doing well. Thanks for joining me today.
Oh,
So,
sure.
so today we're talking about appraisal departments being a cost center or trying to move away from a cost center. Uh,
Right.
how's that worked out for you? You're the chief appraiser at East West Bank. How's that worked out for you?
Well, it's actually worked out pretty well. And the reason for that, you and I have talked in the past about this, but I really carry on that entrepreneurial ship to our department. So you kind of have to run your department as an entrepreneur, as if you're running an outside appraisal firm. A lot of that has to do with, meeting production, uh, meeting, well, not only production, but meeting on the income side production, and also on the number of production, and also as well as just maintaining the customer service and the SLAs to satisfy all parties involved, especially the business units and the loan team. If anything, I mean, we're here to make loans, and that's our business, and we want to help them out as much as possible, and expediting those reviews and providing that value add service.
So, what are the metrics? And tell me life before and then after, where you moved from more of an entrepreneurial department to where you're trying to
Okay.
cut more and more costs. Can you explain
Right.
how that process works?
Yeah, absolutely. So what we did is having internal reviewers. We actually brought in internal reviewers. I have about 6 internal reviewers now. That really, really helps out because they're able to really focus on the appraisal, the collateral issues, right? That rise up during the review process and the evaluation process. Also, they act as regulatory guidance advisors as well. So that really helps. And it's really hard when you have an external outside review team. And I found, because we do actually outsource a little bit of reviews on an annual basis. Whenever we have spillage, we'll actually hire external reviewers. The only thing that I found with that is that the communication takes time, and that can be a drag on the process. You want to be able to provide, well, customer service is always key, and timeliness is that key to that customer service. So you want to be always to provide, you know, in a prompt manner, get back to the loan team and say, hey, this is what's going on with this deal. This is what we see. This is what's going on. And then that's the other thing too, not having that internal relationship. And that's one of the things that my team really excels and does well. They have that internal relationship with the loan officers and the loan team when they're reviewing a property. The loan teams, it's hard for them to reach out to the external reviewers, and the external reviewers sometimes don't want to talk to the loan teams. They don't want to deal with the loan teams at all. They just want to deal with me or somebody else from the appraisal department. So that makes it really hard as well. And having an internal team makes the process much easier and convenient for everybody. I mean, not only for us for problem solving and collateral risk, but also on the other end is helping out the business units. So it turns out to be a wonderful thing for the bank as a whole.
And as an appraisal department, have you recouped more costs because now you have a distributed workforce? Do you have your reviewers and staff? Are they at the office? Are they working from home? Is a
So there,
hybrid?
so we've been working. So most of my team works from home. They've been working from because we don't. Actually, it's better for my team to work from home. They don't have to, and they've actually told me a good example of that. And it's funny because they told me, hey, I don't have to get ready, take a shower. It takes, some of them have told me that it takes them about an hour and a half to 2 hours to get ready and come down here, and because of traffic, et cetera. And we live in LA, so
Yeah.
there's a lot of traffic. And so they told me that it's much, much better for them to just start reading from the get-go when they get up, and start problem solving as soon as, and responding to the emails, problem solving, getting back to appraisers, et cetera. And so for them, it's much more convenient and better. So we've been doing it prior to this pandemic. We've been working, most of my team has been working from home for probably the past 3 to 4 years. There's only a few of us that come in to the office, myself and my assistant manager, and then 2 administrators. But other than that, everyone else works from home,
Okay.
scattered throughout the U.S. Pennsylvania, San Francisco, New York, and here in LA. And they're in the Bay Area. They're Redondo Beach, Torrance out there. So yeah.
Okay. And as you switched to that model, did you find that you were recouping costs and it got to a point of a certain percentage that you were
Well,
saving?
I have noticed that when we went to work from home model and about 3 years ago, my team was happier, and that's one thing that and And not only were they happier, they were producing more. They were actually being able to, you know, produce, and their production levels increase. They were able to review more reports. Part of that happiness that came with that territory is they were responding. I think that work-life balance came in, and they were responding much faster in terms of. I mean, they were already good in response time, but they were much faster in responding and problem solving on the loan officer and credit side whenever there was questions that arise out of the the process and property types, but or loan type. But it was just really great, and they, one of the things is I can't say enough that how blessed I am to have a really good team. It's been really great, and they do most of the work. I mean, let's be honest, they're in the front line. They're dealing with the properties. They're dealing with the appraisers. They're acting as a middleman. And again, going back to having an internal team, I can't say enough how great that is, because having an external reviewer makes it really difficult to get to that level.
What do you think about appraisal departments that haven't done it, brought it in internally, where they're viewing maybe are safer, less of a headache to outsource it to an AMC? What would you say to them saying, no, you really can turn this into a less of a cost center, not quite a profit center, but you can really reduce costs for your bank? What would you say?
Oh, absolutely. And I'm a big proponent of having an internal appraisal department. You can bring that entrepreneurial spirit to an appraisal department, even if you're not. I'm an appraiser, and I used to work for an appraisal firm a while back, so I understand some of the dynamics of running, I guess, or not, I shouldn't say running, but understand what my boss used to do in terms of running a department and running his business. But I think you can definitely bring in that business model to an appraisal department and have that entrepreneurial spirit. And on top of that, act as a sole guidance in terms of regulations. Which is very important. People on a daily basis, I'm dealing with regulatory guidance. Ernie, I have this deal. This is what's going on. This is what we need to do. How can we, what can we do in order to, be competitive in cost and et cetera. So it really helps out. And not only that, right now, a specific example, I'm looking at an apartment deal here in the LA County area, and they want my guidance on it. And, being able to provide that skill set, being able to provide your knowledge, your expertise, and bring something forth it really helps out to mitigate that risk in terms of collateral risk and regulatory risk. And also, I look at it twofold too. It also helps the borrower, because you don't want to pick up a check from a borrower and at the end of the day, we can't do the deal, and the borrower already spent, let's call it $5,000. And he's now upset because we can't do the deal because the value didn't come in or something. Having someone internally saves a lot of headaches. And I do think, again, going back to what you were asking, is I do think that it could be profitable if you run it very similar to an appraisal shop, meaning, you go out and you get market data and you figure out, well, what's the average cost of a review? How many reviews a month, in order for us to be somewhat profitable, how many do I have to do to remain productive and profitable? And that's something you can measure out, we're appraisers, we get a lot of market data, and there's a lot of market data available. I mean, here locally, you can, here locally for me, I can reach out to some of my peer groups and ask them, hey, how much do you charge for review fee, et cetera, and get that information, and being able to make a determination of what it cost, and make that appropriate decision of, look, it's better to keep it in-house than outsources. And of course, that value add comes in of, everything else that I just talked about, which is a collateral and regulatory guidance.
Great. All right. Well, I appreciate your time today, Ernie.
Well, no worries. Anytime. Thank you very much, Jeff.
Thank you.
All right. See ya.
All right. See ya.
Bye. All right. You too.